The OnePlus 7 was nearly forgotten about by the OnePlus community because of the OnePlus 7 Pro. However, it was very enjoyable to use, and hopefully it will be enjoyable for the following years. The fluidity of the device and the small but practical changes that influenced me to buy this phone instead of the earlier 6T really made it worth each penny I spent. This is AkuTech, and here is my 1 month review with the device. So let's start off with the design of the phone. It might not look a lot different from its predecessor, having mostly the same screen and body. However, upon further investigation, we can see things like the camera bump and size, the top speaker size, and also the new back glass, which I really love. It is marketed as black, although looking at it, I felt it was more grey with hints of blue and purple depending on the light. Although the back is very nice, we can't change the fact that it is glass and it is going to get dirty and there are going to be fingerprints on it after a while. So I suggest getting a case. The case that OnePlus gives does get smudges as well, so if you don't like that, then buy another case. On the side of the phone we have a tactile power button, which I rarely use because of the double tap to wake function, and also the ambient display. The ambient display should have a volume bar in my opinion, since it shows the options of the alert slider. Yes, we have an alert slider here, and this one has 3 options, unlike the ones on the iPhones, and none on the other phones. On the other side we have the volume buttons as well as the dual SIM tray. On top we have a microphone, and on the bottom we have the charging port and speakers. The size of the phone is just right for my hands and feels really great with all its curves. I did feel, however, sometimes that I have to stretch my thumb and use my other hand to support the phone. Reaching with my thumb to the other side of the screen was sometimes challenging. So I don't think we need to talk about the speed of this phone. Although this is the 6GB variant, it definitely did not disappoint. Opening apps was always fluid, however I did notice a minor glitch when opening a few apps at a time and going home. This also occurred when you went into the multitasking screen and then went back in, and then went back home. This only occurred when using gestures, however, so if you don't use gestures, then that's not going to bother you. When it comes to the fingerprint scanner, it is also very snappy. I love that it is placed on the front of the screen, meaning it is easy and comfortable to access. I do think that we need to address the screen. It is high quality and very bright. The blacks are black, the colors are vibrant, so obviously the screen is great. But my problem is with the cutout. Sometimes I'm scrolling through a page and my scroller would disappear halfway in the corner. Some apps are also not optimized for the cutout at the bottom of the screen, so you'll find that the screen will cut off part of the screen in the bottom corner. For me, this also happened with the pre-installed keyboard, and ultimately I would have to change the keyboard to SwiftKey. The average consumer probably wouldn't notice this, but since this is a real user review, here I am complaining and nitpicking. I have one last complaint, although it is a very easy software fix. Just like most of the things I just said, I would love for OnePlus to give the consumer more flexibility with the animations when turning the screen off and turning it on. I mean, why not let the people decide if they want a fade in or fade out, or if they want a more fluid transition when unlocking the phone. The only time the screen fades out is when you actually wait long enough for it to do so. I absolutely love the diversity of the Oxygen OS launcher. There's a lot that can be customized, for instance the app icons. This icon pack is called Rondo. Although it's not sponsored, it is a very cool icon pack. It has a lot of images for each app and many different colors for all of them. Some of course only have one color or one icon, but that's pretty much understandable, as it will be very difficult to have every single icon. Going into the settings, you can also change the theme of your phone to dark mode and add an accent color. Here you can see me changing back to the light mode as I was using the dark mode, and as you can see, the phone app, the message app, and a lot of other apps change to the light mode. When we put it into the dark mode, all of the apps that I have shown change back to dark. Something I noticed that I did not know before is that the AMOLED screen makes the blacks blend in with other colors when scrolling. This usually happens in low light situations, so it's not something you would notice on a daily. However, if you do care about this and use dark mode a lot, then I recommend you not to buy an AMOLED phone, I guess, but that's going to be pretty hard as AMOLED phones are pretty much the standard these days. However, that is obviously if you want to miss out on a perfectly good screen. As I said before, the screen is vibrant, the colors are accurate, it is very bright, and for the money you're paying, you're getting a very high quality panel with deep blacks and a high PPI density. There is a few things about the Oxygen OS launcher that I feel are missing, however. Firstly, the dock. I know Oneplus is trying to stand out here and do a bit of their own thing, but again, if users want a dock, whether it's more like the iPhone dock or the Pixel dock, why not give the option? One last thing is, why not add some blur effects? My last phone, the Sony Xperia XZS, had a blur in the folder app, and if I wanted to go to the home settings, there would be kind of a blur. Also, when I went to the apps, there was a blur. Most premium phones do it anyway, so why not again give an option to change that? Also, why have the search bar as a widget? It kind of ruins the aesthetic of the phone in my opinion, and I use the search bar quite a lot as it is really handy. It could be on the very bottom as an option in your home screen as well. But again, OnePlus doesn't do that. You can download a launcher, and I know that, but that again would ruin the speed of the phone. Other than that, I didn't find a thing that was wrong with the launcher, and I'm very happy overall. So let's move on to the camera. I was not impressed with the camera at the start, however I found that after the update that OnePlus released, the Oxygen OS 9.5.5 has been performing quite well. Unfortunately, I do not have much pictures from the older version, as I regretfully deleted them. But here are the pictures of trees on the older version and the newer one. It all got a lot better, but, and it's a big but, the shutter speed is quite terrible. Most of the time I would have to stop still to capture what I wanted, and when I didn't do that, the pictures turned out a little something like this. I will now do a quick test to prove how bad the shutter speed actually is. As you can see, I have done about 17 photos, but here, as we count them through, there's only 10. OnePlus, we need an update that will fix this, and soon. Moving on to the video quality, here are some videos I took in low light conditions. So we got video here at 4K 60 frames per second with the OnePlus 7. Let me know how the audio is. Can you hear my footsteps going through? Here's the zoom. Pretty good in low light conditions right here. So let's switch over. So this is 4K at 30 frames per second. Let me know how good this is. 2x zoom right here. It all gets better. I feel like it just keeps surprising me. So we're here at 1080p, 60 frames per second. Let me know how the audio is once more. Here's the zoom. Gonna get in closer on this. And it's getting very hard to walk on this deep grass. Let's see the horizon there. It's all very nice. As you can see, it is quite good quality. The picture isn't too distorted, and as you can hear, the mic quality isn't too bad. It is definitely an improvement from the OnePlus 6T. And here are some videos I took in the daylight. So 1080p at 60 frames per second here. I won't do 30 frames per second because I wouldn't. Just let me know how it all looks. 4K 30 frames per second. Obviously stabilization is going to be better here. And audio, I think I might have been covering the microphone. But anyway, let's move on. And the last video test, it's a 4K at 60 frames per second. Let me know how this is doing. They are obviously much better, as you would expect. The zoom is surprisingly good, but when comparing it to the Google camera app I installed, you can see that the Google app does something to make the picture a little better looking, although it does appear to me that the stock app tries to bring out more detail. The Google app is a bit worse at night than the Oneplus camera app. It has a bit of an orange tint compared to a much more realistic image from the Oneplus camera app. The burst option is another complaint I have. It only works with the back camera, it only does 20 photos, and you can't go through them by swiping. You have to do it manually one by one, which is quite annoying. However, that doesn't bother me that much. There is a reported update to software version 9.5.6, with the latest security patch and a camera improvement. However, I doubt the shutter speed will be fixed. And so right now, I don't rate the experience of the camera too highly. So I know a lot of people use Instagram and Snapchat and all the social media apps, and so I decided to do a little test here to just see how these apps perform. Because I know when I was watching reviews, I always wanted to see how social media is, because when I had my phone, it wasn't too great. It always kind of lagged. Sometimes the photos didn't come out as great. I can't say that the photos aren't coming out as great still. Although if you use the flash on Snapchat, it kind of makes things a little bit better. And at daylight, the camera is actually pretty decent on Snapchat. But here we are on Instagram, so let's just go and see the camera. We might just take one picture, just save it. We took a picture earlier with the normal camera, so now we're just gonna see how it compares to this one. Overall, I think that the experience of using Instagram is very good. There isn't any like clean animation as there are on iPhones, but I think it's a very fast experience without lagging, and everything just seems to go very smoothly, as I say a lot. But it's true. Nothing seems to lag, nothing seems to interfere, everything just rolls. Here we are in Snapchat. Snapchat is very limited and private, so all we can really do is take a picture and see how it looks compared to our normal camera. But as you can see here, there's the stories. There's not much I can show realistically. So I think we're just going to move on to other apps. Facebook is very private as well, so we're just going to go into my page. And as you can see, what actually annoys me quite a lot is that every app seems to be different when comparing it to iPhone and Android. And that's just something I've been dealing with, but that never really bothered me. However, what kind of annoyed me a lot is that the developers that create the apps just seem to kind of go in favor of iPhone and making it a little easier to use sometimes. And it's the same with Facebook, because on an iPhone, I'm pretty sure everything is on the bottom. When I'm talking about everything, I'm talking about the marketplace and the home screen and all that, and the buttons are all on the bottom, so it's a little easier to reach. But here it's on the top, so that's what annoys me. This phone doesn't lag. This phone, there is no lags on this phone, I swear. Reddit I think is probably the most clean, so there isn't much to talk about for Reddit. But Twitter, I think Twitter is also recently had an update that kind of and made it a bit closer to the iPhone app. And yeah, there isn't really much changes comparing to the iPhone. And the reason I'm comparing it to the iPhone is that a lot of people do seem to have iPhones, so you just want something better, and I think that's what's better. The battery, although a 3700 mAh battery, seems to be doing a better job than most flagships with 4000 mAh battery cells. Why is that? Probably due to Oneplus's amazing optimization skills. I managed to sometimes get over 8 hours of screen on time and usually went to sleep at 30%. Although this picture here shows that I went to sleep at 4%. I only charged my phone in the mornings, so that way I didn't kill the battery and overcharge it, and believe me, it worked. Unless your alarm is late or you are a heavy sleeper, you are not gonna have a problem with charging it in the morning. If you are though, then just charge it in the evenings and plug it out. Speaking of plugging things in, I think OnePlus really encourages you to plug things in because you don't have a wireless charger. Although you don't have a headphone jack either, so you're kind of missing two things that intertwine. That's not the right word. Never mind. You're just missing two things that kind of, if there isn't one thing, then you should have the other. On a Samsung device, there's two of those things. So if you are willing to spend another 500, then go for a Samsung device. I for one don't have a problem with this as the charging is very fast and I don't have any wireless chargers. Obviously not having a headphone jack meant that I had to buy an adapter, and so I did do that, and here it is. However, I don't use the charging on this adapter as that's how long my battery actually lasts. At night I would just plug in my headphones and that's it. So I think you know already that the speakers on this phone are very good. They keep surprising me and my friends who mostly have iPhones or Samsungs. Quality is also very good, and a lot of the time I don't even use the full power of the speaker, as I believe that sometimes it's a little too loud. Bluetooth is great, NFC is also great. Even the cell signal seems to be a lot better with this phone. All in all, the phone is better than most flagships right now. The notch doesn't bother me, and it is a lot cheaper than any other flagship device. If you are thinking of buying the OnePlus 7 Pro or used OnePlus 6T, I wouldn't really recommend that. However, if you are willing to spend another 150 or 200, depending on the price in your region, on the OnePlus 7 Pro, then why not? However, if you don't want to spend that much money, this is the phone for you. And me, of course, because I'm going to be using this phone. It also brings more features than the OnePlus 6T, so that includes the speaker and the camera and a lot of other things that I'm not going to go into now. One more thing before I go. The screen protector that is pre-installed with this phone is kind of garbage. It leaves a lot of fingerprints and it scratches very easily. So if you are getting this phone, I recommend to just get a new screen protector. This has been Aku. If you have any questions that I didn't answer, feel free to comment down below. Also, like and subscribe for more.